talking about alignment. Like I was talking about being aligned with like who you are, your purpose, where you are. I think one of the hardest things though for people to find is their purpose. Because I feel like sometimes because of the state that you're in the moment, you don't see something being your purpose. Like if your purpose was to help others, you might be you might be still caught up in your trauma. So you like, I'm not helping nobody. So it is sometimes hard to see your purpose until you start to heal. So that's when I was talking about alignment, but I wanted to kind of like step into the fact that sometimes it is hard to find your purpose when you're not in a healing space or when you're not in a space where you're even ready to heal. Because the truth of the matter is, you have to be ready to heal. You're just not going to, um, I gotta put this phone down though. You're just not going to start healing like all of a sudden. You just got to find that space and decide like, okay, I'm ready to heal. And when you start becoming ready to heal is when you start healing. I remember I guess I can just like use my divorce. Like I remember when I was like still in the divorce and I still kind of like wanted to be mad. Like half the time when something happened, like when it's over, it's like, what you gonna do about it? If you're not about to make a report or something like that, then what you gonna do about it? You gonna still continue to be upset, mad, frustrated, hating the person, thinking about the situation over and over again, thinking about like I should have said this, I should have did this, I should have moved this way, I should have moved that way, and then do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you never do it because it's over. So you're gonna keep on holding on to the nonsense? No. No, you gotta find that place of healing. So I use that as an example because I think that was probably one of the hardest things for me to start healing was healing from the divorce because I felt like and I know a lot of people feel this way. Like when you invest time and energy into something and you see the warning signs, it's not even really that you're mad at the person. You are kind of mad at yourself because you're mad at yourself because you're like, dang, I seen all of these freaking warning signs and I still chose to like step into this space. You know what I'm saying? I still chose to stay in this space. And so when you're getting ready to start healing, you got to take some of that accountability like, dang, I really could have walked away from this situation. Like I really could have walked away from this thing, but I decided to stay or I decided to keep messing around in this situation, just being crazy. Basically, because that's what it is. Because we be seeing warning signs, we just choose not to walk away. We choose not to walk away because one thing, um, one thing, Jacoby, find you something safe to do, little boy. Anyway, or Jacob or whatever your name is. But one thing that we do is we definitely will put up with something because we think sometimes we can change people. And I just got done talking to someone about this. It's like sometimes we get in our mind, like, I'm going to be so good to this person, or I'm going to be so good in this situation that I'm going to change their mind. You know what I'm saying? We forget too that just like we have our own minds, that other people have their own minds. And that is, like that is something that's important because even though you may feel deeply about something, everybody is not going to feel that same deepness. They're just not going to feel that same deepness. No matter what happens, no matter what you say, no matter what you try to do, they are not going to feel the same deepness that you feel. So when you start the healing process, because I'm going back to when I was talking about being aligned, but before I start talking about how you become aligned and find your purpose, you have to heal. Because I don't know how many people I've talked to in my life and I've told them, like, this is your purpose. And they'll be like, that's not my purpose. They mad. They upset. I don't want to do that. I don't like this. I don't like that. But then when they start healing, they come back and they like, you know what? You was right the whole time. You was right the whole time. Because sometimes people can see your purpose and you don't see your purpose. Maybe, you feel sad or you battling depression or you battling healing or you battling yourself. because sometimes we battle ourselves with what we really need to do as to versus like what we want to do. I always tell people it's not about what you want all the time. It's about your needs. Like, what is it that you need to do? Where do you see yourself? Hello from Russia. Where do you see yourself? You know? But before we start talking about alignment and being aligned with who you are and your purpose and where you can go next, first you got to ask yourself, am I healed? Am I? Because only you know, like nobody else knows. Because you know those thoughts that you think late at night. You know those things that you rewind in your mind over and over and over and over again, but nobody else knows that. I think the whole world last year, the year before last, whatever, was talking about healing and finding peace and all this kind of stuff, right? Everybody was talking about it. Like the whole world was like on this, I'm on this journey, you know what I'm saying? But now all of a sudden, everybody on the journey to put people down, make people feel bad, steal things, you know, like, so we got to pick a struggle at some point. But you have to do it for you. You can't worry about like what everybody else is doing. You got to stand out and be you. I always say like I'm not going with whatever the world tell me is acceptable. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. If I didn't have to get on social media for my business, I just wouldn't do it. Because it just seems like we'll have trends, like we had the trend of healing. Thank you. Thank you. We had the trend of everybody's healing and everybody on the journey, but some people weren't really on the journey, or they gave up at some point. So then now we're on this journey of tearing people down and beating people down and disrespecting people and just so many negative things. So when did like when did the shift happen? When did the transformation happen where people decided like I give up on finding my healing space? So when I come back on again, we're going to talk about, like steps to healing. Now, all these steps don't work for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to work for everybody. I'm going to give you multiple of them. And some of them you have to try. And some of them you can be like, that's not going to work for me. Like I tell people sometimes, like to journal. But there are people who don't like to write. So if you don't like to write, then you speak it. Like you can text it in your phone. There are some people who don't like to talk. Guess what I tell them to do? Draw. Draw your emotions. Like, draw your emotions. If you feel angry, sometimes I find myself like scribbling on paper because it depends on what mood I'm in, like what I'm feeling, like what I want to do. Sometimes I don't want to write. Sometimes I want to get online and I want to go live and I want to talk about what I'm feeling because regardless of me being a mindset coach, I'm still human. And I think that's the reality of stepping into your healing before you find the alignment, because it's almost impossible to become aligned with your purpose of who you are and what you're meant to do if you're not even healed, because that's not the real you. That's like the forced you. That's the putting up walls you. That's the person who, like I don't want to be this person, but I have to be this way because I got to protect me. And I get that. I get that 100% because I've been that person. But at some point, you have to heal and you have to step into who you are. And you have to step into your abilities and your gifts and your purpose. And you can't worry about what's going on in the world outside of who you are because you can only fix you. You can't fix anybody else. They have to want to fix themselves. And at that point is when you support by, like congratulating them, asking them like, do you need some tips? Do you need some help? Is there something I could do for you? But nonetheless, I didn't want to keep y'all long. I haven't been on in a while. I went on a cruise and I kind of left people a little stuck because I talked about alignment and then I got busy getting ready for the cruise. So, and I'm back and I've been active ever since I got back. But I appreciate the ones who listened in. Y'all continue to have a peaceful day. And make sure you go back and you listen to this again. Also, I am having a course I'm starting this course on November the 3rd. The link is in my bio. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, my name is Damasha Katrina on those places. If you want to come into this course, and this is a Rewiring Your Mindset course, we're still in the early bird session. $35 is something minimal to pay for 2 weeks of what you will be receiving. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I hope that y'all have